There's something I've been seeing as a trend around the internet lately, and that is taking cottage cheese and putting it in eggs and pancakes, puff pancakes, to add additional protein. I love this idea because setting ourselves up for the day with energy and stamina to get all the things done, protein is a great help in that. And anything that I could possibly prepare ahead is a huge win, because breakfast is an important meal to get right away. But if you're like me, I don't really feel like jumping up and making something in the morning. I want to sip my coffee. I usually have a couple of kids that want to sit on my lap, that want me to just hold them before the day begins. So being able to put something really easy into the oven is perfect. Now, you could mix the eggs and the cottage cheese and the salt and all of that the night before, get it fully prepared in a dish ready to throw in the oven. Or you could do a partial prep of this the day before, like browning up the sausage, shredding up the cheese, and then quickly mixing the ingredients together in a blender, adding them all together, and then getting them in the oven while you're either sipping coffee, holding a child, reading your Bible, whatever your morning routine might be. So for this, I did 12 eggs, 2 cups of cottage cheese, a cup of milk, a couple pinches of salt, blended that up, added that to a 9x13 dish with shredded cheddar, sausage, and arugula. In the summer, when you start getting herbs from the garden, you could add in a handful of various herbs, different greens that you have coming out. Of course, you could throw in tomatoes or shredded zucchini. A good classic egg bake, in my opinion, is always a good idea, and you'll definitely thank yourself when it's prepared and you have a nice protein-rich breakfast that you could sip your coffee with, have a glass of orange juice with. It'll make the morning a lot easier. I baked this at 375 degrees for about 40 minutes until the eggs were set. I served it with some avocado slices and homemade sauerkraut for a probiotic boost. Most of my kids really like sauerkraut. Some don't, but most do, and Luke and I, of course, love it as well. One thing that I make every day, a lot of times multiple times a day, is some kind of sweetened milk, maybe some cocoa powder, a little honey or maple syrup. And to pack a really strong nutritional punch, I add Colostrum. I've been adding it to my milk and smoothies. You can also add it to water, something quick on the go. If you aren't familiar, colostrum is a dairy bioactive food produced by all mammals. It's the first nutrition that we receive in life and contains all the vital nutrients our bodies need to thrive. Armra is premium bovine colostrum concentrate that delivers over 400 bioactive nutrients in their purest, most bioavailable form, including peptides, antibodies, whole food prebiotics, which help set your gut up for success, things like less bloating and constipation. It also promotes cellular regeneration. So this is why so many people today are taking Armra Colostrum to improve fine lines and wrinkles and skin health in a more natural way. Armra Colostrum also contains bioactive nutrients that help to support the immune system. In a study measuring immune cell response to a toxin, Armra Colostrum performed 32% stronger and faster. They're set apart by their cold chain biopotent pasteurization technology, which is a low heat process that protects all of the nutrients in their most pure and potent form. Now, Armra is offering Farmhouse On Boom viewers a discount when you try Armra. I will leave a link down in the description box below. Again, thank you so much, Armra, for sponsoring today's video. Before showing you another recipe that we've been enjoying this early springtime, I want to show you a little update on our home build. Now, I have a video planned in the next couple weeks where I'm going to talk all about the design and share with you the vision for this place, because I think we are going to be starting framing soon and things will really be picking up. Now, to remind you what this place looked like when we bought it last summer or spring, I cannot wait until we have this view again. Right now, everything is just a muddy mess, but someday soon this will be a pasture with cattle and fencing. It's all going to be a process, but for now we have a basement. There's going to be a couple more short walls coming, but there's the very small update for now. A classic breakfast staple any time of the year is granola. I like it because I can make it ahead of time, and serving it with something like a yogurt parfait makes for a nice, complete, filling, protein-rich breakfast. If you have a dairy cow, springtime, usually if you're having a new calf in the spring, a new freshening, brings fresh milk. And if you're blessed in that situation, then homemade yogurt is one of the best ways to use a lot of that up. Sometimes I follow a recipe for granola, but most of the time I'm just kind of estimating so I can get this done fast. With a lot of kids to feed, even if you don't have that many kids to feed, who wants to spend a ton of time in the kitchen? The more I can throw something together, the more I can rely on things that are easy for me to just feel and throw together, the easier my life is. So when I do that, I mix up equal parts of coconut oil and honey, and then throw in whatever combination of cereal ingredients I might have. So today I had a bag of pecans I needed to use up, so I pulsed those in the blender, added some oats, some millet, and mixed that all in. Now the goal you're looking for is for the mixture to not be overly wet and oily, also to be sweet enough. So I throw in enough of those cereal nuts and grains and seeds until it's all coated with oil and honey. It's sweet enough, not too sweet. Granola is one of those things that you really can't mess up. As long as you have some kind of oil or fat to toast the cereal grains, something to sweeten them, whether it's maple syrup, brown sugar, honey, you should be good to go, and any combination of cereal things will work great. I do have a specific granola recipe over on farmhouseonboone.com. I also have the process for making yogurt. For me, I put it in my Instant Pot, press the saute function, and then let it cool down to about 110 degrees. Add a yogurt starter, and then it ferments for 8 to 12 hours. Once the yogurt's made, I then like to put it in a tea towel and hang it above a bowl for several hours in order to remove some of the whey. This is a way to make it creamier. Kids will like it better. Also, if kids find homemade yogurt a bit sour, which if you're used to yogurt from the store, it will be a bit sour, you can strain off even more whey and then add some milk or cream to the very thick yogurt to make it less sour. Then add in some vanilla and maple syrup, and it can taste just like store-bought. You can reserve the whey to soak grains to make them more digestible. You can also use it in a recipe that calls for something sour, possibly substituting something like vinegar or buttermilk, or maybe a little combination of whey with milk would work great for buttermilk. You can also make wheymonade, which is a probiotic-rich beverage, so adding lemon juice and something sweet and ice will be refreshing and probiotic rich. If you don't think you'll eat this yogurt very quickly, like in the next couple days, I would wait to add the cream and the milk until you know you will, because fresh milk will go bad a lot more quickly than yogurt will. Yogurt making preserves the milk in a way, whereas the fresh milk component that's in here will continue to sour. Also, if you add sweetener much ahead of time, it will make the yogurt ferment faster. I don't know if you've ever noticed, if you make a smoothie, like a fruit smoothie with bananas and strawberries, and you don't drink it all and you put it in the fridge, within a couple days it tastes really sour, and that's because the probiotics that are in the fermented drink, whether that was a kefir smoothie or a yogurt smoothie, will continue to feed and become more sour with the yogurt. If I know we'll be having it within the next couple days, I just add all the cream, all the maple syrup, and the vanilla to make it ready to go. I'll layer it with fruit and granola, and this is a breakfast the kids will love, and it'll be very simple. We are going to put some of that whey to good use by soaking oats for an oatmeal bake tomorrow. The reason you would want to soak grains ahead of time instead of just preparing oatmeal fresh right in the morning, which by the way, we oftentimes do, but when I can think ahead, I do like to soak because it makes the grains more digestible by reducing phytic acid. So I will take a portion of the liquid that a recipe calls for and replace it with something like yogurt or whey or vinegar or kefir in order for that action to happen on the oats. Now you can add in the other liquid parts of the recipe. So if it calls for butter or oil or honey, adding those in so that the oats can become fully coated and thus interact with the yogurt to make them more digestible, that's what you'd want to do. And the next morning, I'll add in the rest of the ingredients for the oatmeal bake. So for this, I did 6 cups of rolled oats, 1.5 cups milk, a half cup of fermented whey, and a half cup of melted butter. I stir that together, let that sit overnight. And then in the morning, I added the juice of 1 lemon, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 5 eggs, a 1/3 cup each of sugar and brown sugar, a couple tablespoons of poppy seeds, and 3 cups of frozen blueberries, making this a springy, fruity, lemony oatmeal bake that everyone will love. I bake it for about 45 minutes at 350 degrees.
One more. Okay. I'm gonna put some in.
Just a little bit. It'll be kind of hard to stir. It was soaking overnight, so it's going to be a little bit difficult to stir.
Can I do it?
Here, you can take it. They're looking good. They'll come back.
Can I flatten it? Yeah.
Another recipe that comes together very easily in the morning is a Dutch baby pancake. Last spring, when we had more eggs than we knew what to do with, which is funny now given the current events and everybody kind of struggling to get eggs, I had some posts where I talked about what to do when you have too many eggs, which didn't really age all that well. But if you have hens, you probably still have plenty of eggs despite the shortage, even though you could, of course, find probably friends and neighbors and local people to sell them to or give them to if you have too many. It's not really a problem right now. But it's a great recipe because there's lots of protein in a Dutch baby pancake because of all the eggs. I'm going to add even more by adding in some cottage cheese. Now, I ended up making this a few times and I wasn't particularly happy with the level of puffiness. And I realized what happened. I thought that I needed to add a lot more flour because of the cottage cheese component, but it turns out it performs best when there's not too much flour. That allows it to really puff up. Another thing that can cause a puff pancake to not puff is not having enough heat on the vessel that you're going to cook it in. So just like when you bake sourdough bread and you preheat a cast iron Dutch oven, that provides steam for the oven spring. The same thing is very important with a Dutch pancake if you want it to puff up. Now, it tastes great regardless. I often skip this step, and I will say that with my usual einkorn recipe, it will still puff up, but I think when I make this with the cottage cheese version going forward, I am going to preheat it so that I get more puffiness just because it's fun. Now, when it comes out of the oven, it'll be really puffy, but then it will deflate if it sits there for more than 5 or 10 minutes. So serve quickly if you're wanting it to puff up. But I used my einkorn puff pancake recipe plus added in about a cup of cottage cheese. I didn't use einkorn flour today. I used freshly milled soft white wheat, which is very comparable to einkorn in the level and amount of flour that you need, whereas like a hard white or hard red wheat, you would need probably a little bit less flour. I find that with recipes that I'm converting from regular wheat flour, like an all-purpose flour, to an einkorn flour, I need more flour when adding einkorn or less liquid. The same is true when I mill soft wheat berries. So I figured it would probably translate pretty well between soft white and einkorn. If you have hard white, you might need to reduce it a bit or add a bit more liquid. Like I said, don't let any of this scare you because even if it doesn't puff up, it'll still be really delicious. If you choose to add in cottage cheese or you don't, it'll be great either way. It'll just give it a bit more protein, which is something that I'm interested in doing to set us up for the day. Another thing that has been on our breakfast menu more lately are these brioche cinnamon rolls. I really love these because they're softer, which really works better when trying to use whole grains. The downfall with whole grains a lot of times is that your recipes can end up more dense, less fluffy. So when you're doing a recipe that was already fluffier, like these brioche cinnamon rolls, because they have in the additional butter and the eggs, they really lend themselves nicely to all whole grain flour. So I milled some hard red wheat, followed the recipe exactly as is over on farmhouseonboone.com, except for that it's hard red wheat instead of all purpose. And I like to do stretch and folds instead of using my mixer. It's a slow process throughout the day. I then let the dough ferment overnight. And the next day, I'll just roll it out until it's big and flat, like you do with cinnamon rolls. Mix up the cinnamon, sugar, butter mixture. And then I wanted to try something a little bit different today. I've been seeing this around the internet, on Pinterest, Instagram, wherever, where people will get these really beautiful cinnamon rolls by cutting each little slice kind of individually and rolling them up so it gives it a cleaner cut. This method works really great. I would definitely do it again. The only thing I would change is I cut them a little bit thick, not really realizing how thick that would end up when rolling them. But they did create a very beautiful bakery style cinnamon roll. You could even bake them a little bit further apart so you can pull them out individually, top them individually with the cream cheese frosting that's on the recipe on the website. This, for whatever reason, just made them seem special, like individual cinnamon rolls instead of just a big pan, which are totally fine too. I just wanted to switch it up today.